fellow readers. It's the Xennial Reader here with another check-in and deep dive as we go into these Harlequin novels and point out some problematic themes that I have been noticing. So we're on day 2 and we're on the second novel. Bear with me, guys. I think I've got about 6 more to go. There is no way I'm going to make it through all of the thousands of titles that are in the Harlequin catalog. So again, I'm just focusing on the ones that I read when I was growing up and when I was a teenager. So with regard to this one, it's called It All Depends on Love by Roberta Leigh. The thing about this novel is it's actually not bad. It's a pretty good romance novel. It's got a solid plot. It is funny. It's entertaining. You'll enjoy it. But this is not a book review. This is a deep dive discussion. And we are about to talk about a problematic theme that I found here, which is the Lolita Complex. And I was like, ew. So strap in and get ready. And while you're strapping on in, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button because we are about to go full throttle. Let's go. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little bit different here, you guys. I'm going to actually read the synopsis that's on the back of the book instead of doing like a full breakdown of the whole plot. So here's how it goes. Tessa had worked hard to get to the responsible position she held. The last thing she would ever consider would be giving up surgery for the joys of love and marriage. Patrick was an obsessive workaholic who'd built an empire and now saw the acquisition of children as a natural step to ensure the succession. And he wanted a full-time mother for his family. It would serve you right if you fell madly in love with a successful career woman, Tessa said. I'd prefer to be a bachelor forever in that case, Patrick replied. Their battle of wills was inevitable, but would one of them emerge the winner? Okay, so that's the synopsis. So it doesn't really go into detail about like the funness of the plot. Tessa's this surgeon who works really, really hard. She's like 27 years old. She's been very career driven, and she takes pride in what she's built and in what she's done for herself. She loves what she does. She can't imagine doing anything else. So she's like, all she's ever wanted since she was 10 years old was to be a surgeon. And she's proud of it. She's proud of her accomplishments. Seriously. So the thing about her is, and shout out to everybody in the medical field, you guys have a very hard job. You work long hours. You have to work double shifts. You're on your feet all the time. I mean, it's a taxing profession. And you are truly blessed by the Creator for doing what you do. And I thank you, all of you, for what you do. And so in Tessa's case, she is a surgeon. And when the book opens, basically, her boss is telling her, you got to take a 3-month break. Because this chick done fainted during surgery and whatnot. Because she's working like triple shifts. While everybody else will do double shifts, she the one that'll do a triple shift. You know, she the one you can call when she done just got off an hour ago. You can call her back in and she will work a full another 12 hours for you. So her boss is like, nah, son, you're going to have to go ahead and take you a break for like 3 months. And I don't want to see your face. There, it's that simple. Go relax. Get yourself a boyfriend. Have some fun. And so she decides she's going to take a little vacation up at her godfather's estate out in the country somewhere. And she gets up there, and the first few days are good. You know, I'd probably say like the first week is good. She's enjoying not having patients, not having to answer her pager. She can just sleep and just really rest up. And, you know, because when it starts off, she's all thin and gaunt and huge bags under her eyes. I mean, she just looks a hot mess. And then, you know, as she's relaxing and getting herself back together, focusing on self-care as she should have been, you know, she's getting her rosiness back in her cheeks, gaining some weight again, you know, she's getting back in shape. So, but the problem is, after about a week, she's bored out of her skull, like super bored. So she decides, you know, let me go and check out this wall that's broken that we've been having a problem with. Because, see, here's a theme in the book. The dog that her godfather owns keeps breaking out of the yard because the brick wall that they share with the next door neighbor, who's going to be where our male protagonist lives, the wall is broken. So the dog is always cutting through there and going into his yard. And the dog loves Patrick, by the way. And so in this particular case, she's examining the wall, and she hears this very condescending voice speaking crazy to her. Just saying some old crazy stuff. And she is like, what? So she bends down and she's like looking at the wall and examining, what happened to make it just break. And she sees that, oh, okay, the cypress that's on Patrick's side of the yard, it spread its roots under the foundation, and it weakened the foundation of the wall, and the whole damn thing collapsed. And she's like, oh, so it's his fault. So as she's examining this, she hears somebody say, practicing to be an ostrich, which who does that? But whatever, he just mean for no reason. And so she was like, what? And she turned around and she's looking at him like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I don't know what are you talking about? Like, she kind of is looking at him at first, like looking him over, and he's like, are you finished? And she's like, finished with what? What is, she's so confused. She's like, who the hell are you? And what are you talking about? And he's like, are you finished looking me over? Because, honestly, I'm the one who should be looking you over. And she's like, why? And he's like, you're here to apply, right? I have to make sure I'm picking the right one. She's like, apply for what? And he's like, the advertisement, of course, that I put in the paper for help. And so she's like, you know what? This guy is so rude that I'm just you know what? I'm so bored, and this guy is so rude that I am just going to pretend that I am going out for the advertisement. Then at the last minute, I'm just going to tell him I'm not going to take the job because I'm a surgeon, and he can go screw himself. But it doesn't work out that way, because she's bored, and she's like, you know what? I am going to take the job because I want something to do. And she's like instantly attracted to Patrick anyway. So she's like, gives me a reason to be around this guy that's hot. He thinks she's 18. She's really 27. Tessa does look 18, though. That's a theme in this book. She looks young. She's like short. She's like 5'1", has a little girl face. Like she looks young. She can pass for 18. And so the conflict throughout this book is that he finds himself attracted to her, but he's like in his mid-30s, and he doesn't want to be attracted to this 18-year-old girl, but can't seem to help himself and can't seem to keep his hands off of her. And it's like, why does no one seem to have any self-control? And that's kind of the thing that bothered me a little bit. I'm like, oh, like what a weird imbalance of power. Like this, if she really was 18, if she really was 18, y'all, this would be bad. Like, as you're reading through this book, if she really was 18, like, the only thing that makes this acceptable is the fact that she's actually 27 and a surgeon and she's fucking with him. Anything beyond that, though, because I was reading it again this time, I was like, God, if she really was 18, though, Patrick would be a total dick, because he's always the one kissing her, pulling her to him, kissing her, but then saying it's her fault. Saying things like, you're not going to put your sex on me, and you're not going to lure me in and seduce me, and look at how you're batting your eyes at me. This is your fault. And I'm just like, oh, God, seriously? And so here's the thing. Tessa knows that he wants her and he likes her, and she decides, okay, I'm going to keep this charade going just a little bit longer, because you know what? Maybe he'll like me to the point where when I finally tell him the truth, it won't matter. Fat chance, because that's dumb. That was a dumb idea. And as I was reading through this book, I was just like, girl, you need to quit this job, tell this man the truth, and get on with it, because I really do not understand why you're carrying this on. The longer you go with it, the worse it's going to be, because no one wants to start off a relationship knowing they've been lied to. No one wants to start off a relationship with someone who's been lying to them. So I don't know. I was on the team of like Tessa needs to just tell the truth and just get this over and done with, but whatever. What I did like about how the author revealed it is that rather than Tessa having to like sit down and tell him, because by this point he has like the worst opinion of her ever. Like she's been working there for like a good month, and he now thinks she's like a gold digger because she didn't tell him that like she's staying with her godfather. She lied and was like, oh, I'm house sitting for him next door, and she calls him Mr. Anderson, even though he's her godfather. Keep in mind, this man is her godfather, but she lied to Patrick and was like, no, I'm just house sitting. So he thinks she's just this wayward 18-year-old that's using this old man and trying to be a gold digger to him. So he has the worst opinion of her by this point. And she's already like, all right, screw it. I'm going back to work. I'm going back to London, back to work, whatever. I'm going to tell him the truth, and I'm dipping out the same day. Well, the thing about it is, the author didn't have her reveal it this way. And I love how the author had the truth of Tessa being revealed. So there's this other girl named Ingrid who is Swedish, tall, gorgeous, and Tessa feels like Ingrid is her competition because Ingrid likes Patrick. But Patrick doesn't like Ingrid. I mean, he just sees her as his partner and assistant and worker. She's always worked for him, and he only sees her in a professional sense. But she's in love with Patrick. Ingrid, I mean. Ingrid has been trying to chase Tessa away this entire time. She hates Tessa. And, just thinks Tessa's a stupid 18-year-old girl and just wants her to go away. And so the way her true identity is revealed is that Ingrid hurts herself. I mean, it's bad. She falls down the stairs, twists, like compound fracture to her leg. As she falls, she breaks some kind of glass, and the glass impales her torso. So it's just a hot, bloody mess all over the place. She's about to die. She's about to die, y'all. And it's in this moment that the real Tessa comes out. Tessa the surgeon. Here she goes. She starts barking out orders to everybody. You need to go get this, this, and this so I can do a tourniquet. Patrick, you call 911. You guys take down the door because we're not going to have time for the ambulance to come. They talking about 30 minutes. Ingrid don't have 30 minutes. Take down the door. We're going to use that as the stretcher to put her in. We're going to take her to the... Oh, it was on. She was on and popping. And then as Patrick is on the phone, she snatches it from him because he's like, Tessa, I've got this. And she just snatches the phone and was like, this is Tessa Redford. I am a surgeon under Sir Dennis, blah, 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 blah. I'll do the surgery myself. And they know her name because, she's been doing her surgeries for like a good 5 years in, and she's getting a good name. She's becoming renowned now. So they know who Sir Dennis is, her boss, and they know, oh, Tessa Redford. Okay, Tessa. So she's in such a small town that they really don't have like the staff, and they don't have the expertise and the skill required to save Ingrid's life. So it's Tessa who steps in and does the surgery. And I mean, this is like a full all-nighter type deal. Like she's on surgery on this girl for like 14 hours. And keep in mind, Ingrid has been nothing but a bitch to her. But Tessa steps in and she saves this girl's life. And so afterwards, she goes out, talks to Patrick, tells him the truth. Well, of course he knows the truth by now, but it's realized that, they need to go their separate ways because, see, up to this point, Tessa and Patrick have had these conversations where Patrick's like, I need my woman to be at home, popping out babies for me. I don't do this career woman stuff. My wife can't work. And Tessa's like already thinking like, well, shit, I'm a surgeon, but I'm in love with this man. So even when I tell him the truth, that's the second conundrum that she's stuck with. When I do finally tell him the truth, if he's not pissed off that I've been lying to him this whole time, we still aren't going to work because I'm not giving up my career as a surgeon for him. All right. So that's a good angle to talk about real quick before I go into the Lolita Complex. It's really sad that women are still stuck with this expectation because Patrick even tells her all throughout this book, as an 18-year-old girl, you're wasting your potential. Why don't you do this? Why don't you go to school for this? Why don't you get a job doing this? And she finally, using her 27-year-old wisdom, acting as an 18-year-old girl, says to Patrick, listen, why are you telling me that I need to do all this stuff, that I'm wasting my life? only to say that eventually I'm going to have to give this up when I get married. She's like, that's the true waste of time. Like, I have to pour all of, if I'm pouring all of this time and effort and energy into building my career, then you're telling me to just chuck it all away the moment I get married. That's the true waste of time. And he was stupefied. He didn't have a comeback. He didn't have anything to say. Because she's like, seriously, why should I have to give up the career I've worked so hard for? In the sense that you're telling me, Mr. Patrick, you're saying I need to go out and make something of myself. But then after I make something of myself, I need to then just throw it all away to get married. She's like, that don't make sense. And so, long story short, they were separated for for some months. And I give the author credit for this. Like, they were separated for some good months before, like, after this whole thing, when they parted ways, when we're at the end of the book. And then she just happens to come home one day, and we're going to talk about her stupid ass housekeeper. So she comes home one day, and she's just puttering around. The way her house is set up, I guess she doesn't see her living room immediately, but she comes in her house, she's doing her thing, she's making her dinner and all this, and she happens to walk out into her sitting room, and she sees Patrick out there asleep, and she's like, what in the world? Yeah, girl, y'all, you want to know how he got in there? Her housekeeper let him in. While Tessa was at work, her housekeeper let Patrick, who she does not know, into the house and then proceeds to leave. And Tessa comes home, and this man is in her house, and she doesn't know that. So the housekeeper didn't tell her that she let Patrick in, didn't tell her Patrick is in there, and didn't leave no note, nothing. Just dipped out. Worst housekeeper ever. That bitch would be fired if she was my housekeeper. She would be so fired. I don't care if this is the man I'm in love with. You ain't allowed to just be letting men in. Who does that? Girl. So, anywho, Patrick is in her house. He wakes up. He professes to her, his love and tells her, I've been a fool. I was stupid. I do want a career woman. I am not going to lie, though. Will there be times that I resent your career? Will there be times that I absolutely hate that you can't go on my business travels with me? Is there going to be a time that I just hate the fact that, you work so many hours? Yeah. He's like, but I can't live without you. He's like, I would rather have that and compromise instead of living the life I'm currently living, which is like he's saying he touched rock bottom, apparently. It's super dramatic, this whole monologue he gives, and I'm just like, okay. But the months without her were just dark and horrible, and he hated it. He hated life. So he decided to just take the bull by the horns and find where Tessa lives, and he goes to her house, whatever. And her housekeeper lets him in. I'm firing her on behalf of Tessa. She fired. And so long story short, they decide to be together. Yay. But here's where I'm having a problem. So throughout this whole thing, first we've got the whole issue of the imbalance of power where, we've got the boss that's like kind of, I don't want to say seducing, but yeah, you're seducing your subordinate. She's still your subordinate at the end of the day. You think she 18 and is just, the dog's body. That's their term for like the errand girl. And it's like, dude, like, it's a power imbalance. It is. So for you to be kissing on her and doing all this stuff and acting like it's her fault and she's the one who's seducing you, I had a problem with that. But then here's Tessa. Here's where I have my problems with Tessa. Tessa really leans into the idea of being the seductive 18-year-old. Like, she really leans into, like, she likes fucking with his head. And I'm kind of bothered by this because she's like licking her lips sometimes and saying these very suggestive, flirty things to him. And I'm like, oh, Tessa. And I get it because in her mind, she's like, I'm a 27-year-old woman flirting with this man that I'm attracted to. but you're doing it as an 18-year-old girl, and you clearly see that this man does not want to be dealing with an 18-year-old girl. But okay. It was the whole idea of like just this young girl seducing this older man. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And then there's this I didn't want to say theme. I'm trying not to use the word theme too much, but they have this habit in the book where she'll like try to be sexy and she'll be talking to him in a little girl voice. And that is just gross. Listen, I don't know how, I mean, I know there are some men out there that are turned on by that kind of thing. I'm not, whatever, but it's my hope that most men aren't. Because, ladies, I mean, we maintain the carpet, the land down under, if you know what I'm talking about. And we do things like shaving and waxing and all of that, right? Yeah, we do. Here's the one thing that I learned in my dating experience with men. I had yet to meet a man that liked the whole scorched earth thing. Now, I know there are men out there that do like it, I guess, whatever. I'm just saying the men I dealt with didn't. And there's one guy that I remember specifically spoke on it and was like when he saw it, he was like, oh, and I was like, what's wrong? He's like, no, this is too much like, that looks too much like a little girl down. I need to feel like I'm with a woman. I need some hair down there. There has to be something, even if it's a landing strip. I don't care, but you can't just be fully like bare down there. That's too much like a little girl. Nope. Matter of fact, call me when the hair grows in. And so throughout this book, she, like I said, she'd do this thing where she would talk in a little girl voice to him. And I thought that was very disturbing. Especially like, okay, you get to the end, right? So in the end, of course they do their love making and all of that. Yay for them. Well, on the very last page, like they're ending with like, they're about to make love again. That's how the book's ending. They're about to make love again. And this is it. I'm going to read it. These are the last 3 paragraphs of this book, you guys. All I mentioned were children. He lunged for her and brought her down on the bed. That does it. His body heavy on hers, she stared into his blue eyes. This is the part that disturbs me. This final line of the book. Know something? She said in a little girl voice. I'm not in the least bit hungry. And that is the type of thing she would do throughout the book, where she'd talk in this little girl voice to him. And I was like, what is going on with it? Like, it was problematic, but not so problematic as the other things I'd seen in other Harlequins. This one was a fun read. It was fun. And it's forgivable, and it's tolerable because she's actually 27 and a surgeon. If she were actually 18, everything Patrick was doing would be so disturbing. Like, it's still disturbing because from his point of view, she's only 18 and yet he's still doing it. But from her point of view, she's just looking at it like, look, I know I'm 27. I know I'm a grown-ass woman. I'm just having fun with this man. But it was just, it was a strange, like, I've always had a problem with that power dynamic when it's an older man and a younger woman. Because our society makes it where it's perfectly fine for extremely older men to deal with young women. It bothers me because it's like, it's just a way for the man to control the girl. Like, she doesn't have any life experience. In this particular case, Tessa was able to match Patrick wits for wits as a quote unquote 18-year-old because she's really 27. So she's able to like kind of, even though she's talking ditzy and acting like she's dumb, she's still able to say really profound things every now and then because she can't help it. Like, she'll say stuff and he'll be like, how do you know that if you're only 18, you know? So in this case, the dynamic, it's okay because Tessa can hold her own. But we see this every day in life where older men are dealing with younger women, and these men in power will be dealing with their subordinates. And if they get in trouble for it, they're like, well, why am I, what's the problem? I mean, we're seeing this now with TJ Holmes and his whole debacle he's got going on. Again, I am of the class where you don't shit where you eat. You know, I just believe that. I'm of that belief. Like, no, I don't shit where I eat. I don't mess with coworkers. I never have, and I never will. There are people who do, whatever, not judging. Just saying that in the case of when you're messing with a coworker, be on equal footing. I've never liked when men in powerful positions will deal with a subordinate or someone who they're over, because you have power over them. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same kind of dynamic, especially when they're so much younger than you and they don't have the same life experience that you have. And so in this particular case, having Tessa as this 18-year-old girl who's like coming off like she's seducing this older man, it was like, it's kind of problematic. And on a problematic scale from 1 to 10, I mean, I'm going to put it at like a 3.5. I mean, it's not as bad as like what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow with Shattered Trust, or what I'm going to be talking about with A Summer Storm, with just some straight up domestic violence, domestic abuse, masked as masculinity, and them just being, you know, a man's man. Girl, we'll get to that when we get to it. For this one though, I liked it, and I was glad I reread it. But that one theme with regard to, it's like, why is it always the woman's fault when a man can't control himself? You know, Patrick is like, oh, don't bat you the way you, every time you bat your eyes at me like that, what am I supposed to do? Keep your goddamn hands to yourself. That's what you're supposed to do. So that, just for me, that was the only thing that I found problematic. So I don't have to really talk about this book for too long, because really it's a good book. But I will say, you know, I don't think that older men should be dealing with younger girls. I don't. Let these young girls deal with, you know, guys a little closer to their age. If she's 18 and she wants an older guy, let her deal with somebody who's 22, 23, 24. Shit, that's old enough. She don't need to be dealing with nobody who's in his 30s and 40s. That shit is gross. So anyway, but I mean, I know people disagree. Everybody's got their opinions, you know. Love is love. Some people are like, I can't help who I love. But, you know, my attitude is just like, nah, I don't like those kinds of dynamics happening. So that's it. You know, I mean, these people are British. I mean, I think, no, that I shouldn't have said British. They're from across the pond. They're all European. And so I think that's what it is. I think most of these writers are like European. Like Roberta Leigh, she lives in London, you know? Yeah, she lives in London. I think what bothers me is, like, it says she's also been an editor of a women's magazine and produced a teen magazine. But I'm like, girl, like, some of this stuff was a little problematic, boo-boo. But whatever. I enjoyed it. I'm glad that, you know, like I said, I enjoyed the read. It was just the little girl voice talking, trying to be sexy. That was a little too much for me. But you let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about, you know, Lolita. Is there such a thing as a Lolita complex? Is there such a thing where, you know, you feel like maybe men who are older shouldn't take it, you know, shouldn't be let themselves be in positions like that with 18-year-olds, especially when it's their employee? You know, sound off. Let me know what you think. I just feel like this is problematic only because some people who read books are impressionable, okay? And I'm one of them. Like, I read this book for the first time when I was 9 years old. Yeah. Yeah, I was young reading Harlequins. Matter of fact, yep. Because it came out in 1991. And this was back when they used to, like, just mail them to you. Like, as soon as they, like, seriously, if you were on their list and you were subscribed, honey, you were getting like 4 books in a pop. And so I got these. I wound up ordering more. I did because my mom, she had 4 books already up there on the bookshelf, and I read those Harlequins. I think it was Devil in Paradise, Shattered Trust, and then I saw Dark Music, but I didn't read it yet, but it had an advertisement on the front where it was like they had a free giveaway where they were giving away a makeup kit. And I was like, I want that makeup kit. I want it. It was like a little it was so cute. It's like a little makeup holder. You open it and it has a mirror and a light and everything's like your own little makeup dressing set. And the little girl in me was like, yes, I want that. I need that in my life. So I filled out the little order form and I sent it off. And they started sending me Harlequin romance novels. And one of them, and when I got one, I just kept reading them. And so I was like 9, 10, 11, and I was very impressionable. And really, honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I think this is the reason why I had such a like hard time in my 20s with dating, because I look, I was a tomboy, y'all. I didn't know anything about love and men and dating. Everything I learned from books. And so there are a lot of impressionable people out there, and I just really feel like as writers, we do need to, as writers, let me back up. I'm just going to say I feel like writers need to take accountability, and we need to be mindful of what we're putting out into the world and the minds that we may be having an influence on. But other than that, that is why I had to call this Lolita Complex out, because I don't want some young girl thinking it's okay for me to be acting like this or moving like this around an older man. I don't think you should. If you're 18, 19, listen, if you're mature for your age, honey, there are men in their mid-20s who are mature and making things happen for themselves. I do not think that you should be jumping up into men in their 30s and 40s and 50s. I just don't. They've had way more life experience than you. They have had way more going on. And they will be able to control you and dominate you and manipulate you if they want to. I just don't think that men of that age should be thinking, I want to deal with a girl that much younger than me. I don't understand that concept. And it scares me a little bit. It makes me wonder about the psyche of a man that's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Because at least with Patrick was like, he was like, I don't want to be with no 18-year-old. He's like, I hate this about myself that I can't, stay away from you. I can't help that I'm attracted to you. I hate this, but, I'll be glad when this is over. But point being, I had to call out this problematic theme, the whole kind of Lolita complex and her talking in the baby voice, trying to be sexy. And, there were times where she was trying to seduce him, and she was, she'd be trying to lick her lips seductively at him, and she'd be saying some really suggestive things to him. But again, I'm looking at it from the point of view of, she's 27. So she knows the game. She's got the experience. Child, let me stop. Anyway, I will talk to y'all later. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. Tomorrow we're going to be discussing Shattered Trust by Jacqueline Baird. And yes, trigger warning in advance, domestic, it's going to be some domestic disturbances. Child, this man is dangerous, and I'm just going to leave it at that. We're going to talk about all of the red flags of abuse. It's going to be the perfect opportunity to open up the floodgates for that, and for us to really inform y'all of what are the subtle signs of abuse that you need to be on the lookout for. Because, child, this man got all of them. And I'm like, just because you put it in a romance novel, that don't take away the fact that he is showcasing a very abusive behavior. So, yeah, we're going to get into that tomorrow. So, I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you so much for listening in, joining me on this mini podcast, and getting into this deep dive discussion with me. We're going to keep on going, y'all. Once I get through with these Harlequins, we're going to jump in on this Love Swept and Beverly Jenkins, the GOAT. I can't wait till next week. I will see y'all later. Bye-bye. Hey there, fellow book lovers. If you like talking in depth about book themes and how they relate to our everyday lives, then join our Xennial Readers book club. We meet online monthly for deep dives into some really interesting titles. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and visit the Xennial Reader website for more cool stuff. Get in on the discussion. Later.